Hello and welcome back to the Retress YouTube channel. So in today's class, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful off-shoulder puff sleeve mini balloon dress. It's a puffy dress as we have seen, and it's very simple to make. So I made mine as a top, but the tutorial contains how you can also adapt this to make a skirt. It has this elastic on the hem as well as the neckline area and also on the sleeve. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so there are several ways you can actually cut this dress, but I want to cut mine as one single piece. So for that you need a lot of fabric, okay, but you can also join to your fabric if it's not in one single piece. So the measurement that you are going to use for this is simple. You need your shoulder measurement, that's your back measurement. So let's say from one shoulder to the other, okay, for the back. And for me, that's 16 inches. You know, normally if you want to use this to cut your fabric on fold, you just divide that by 2, and that's going to give you 8 inches. And then you need your sleeve length measurements as well. The sleeve length that I want to work with is 20 inches. So these are the two measurements that you're going to use to fold your fabric. So like I said, normally your shoulder measurement is supposed to be divided by 2, and that's going to give me 8 for if you are cutting on fold like this. But because this is it's like a maxi dress, and we are going to I'm going to use this shoulder measurement as it is, and then I'm going to use elastic to gather it back to the 8 inches or whatever it is that it's supposed to be. So it means if I want to fold my fabric now, I'm going to use this 16 inches plus my sleeve length. Actually the sleeve length is 20 inches, okay, but because this is like a puff sleeve and you want it to really come out puffy, you can also add like 3 to 5 inches to it, depending on how puffy you want it to be, or how big you want, how much fabric you have to work with. So now let's say you are adding 5 inches to this, that's going to be 25. So it means to fold my fabric I will need 16 plus 25 inches, which is a lot of fabric, okay. 16 plus 25 inches is going to give me around 41 inches. I don't have up to that, so I'm going to be reducing this measurement. Instead of using 16 inches for my shoulder, I'm just going to work with around 12 inches for the shoulder, okay. And then for this as well, I'm going to be working with around 23 inches. So now the fabric that I'm going to need for this is going to be around 35 inches. So now this 35 inches is just for one side. Remember, this is the full shoulder, okay. So for one side, from your center back all the way to the sleeve. So now for the other side you will need another 35 inches, which means altogether you're going to need 70 inches for the back and 70 inches for the front. I hope you understand that. So to fold your fabric, again, because it's big, I'm going to illustrate with this paper. You just need to measure from here. I'll measure from here and measure 35 inches. So once I have 35 inches, I'll just put it on fold like this, okay. So it means I have 35 inches for one side of the fold and 35 inches for the other side. So this is for the front, and then you need another one for the back, making 4 folds. So now my fabric here is folded into 4. I have 1 2. I've not opened it up here, that's why it's still together. So 1 2 for the front and 1 2 for the back. So I have 35 inches like this, and then the length is going to be how long you want your dress to be. For me, I don't have so much, so this is going to be like a blouse. I think I have about 28 inches as my length, so that's what I'm going to be working with for the purpose of this tutorial. But your length should be as long as you want your dress to be, okay. So now the next thing now is to start taking our measurements. So this is the upper part. So the first measurement I'm going to take is my shoulder. Okay, so now on the upper part, like I was saying, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement. Remember, it's supposed to be 16, but I said I'm reducing it to around 12, but my fabric was more. I have 37 inches on foot, so I'll just leave it at around 14 inches here, okay. So from here to here is going to be my shoulder. So what you're going to do here is just to place a notch on that 14 inches, okay, so that you can separate this part, this shoulder part, from your sleeve. Remember the rest that we have from here to where this stops. Sorry, this is big. Okay, from here to here is going to be my sleeve. So checking what I have here, I have about 22 inches. I'm still going to place a band, so it's going to make up for whatever shortage that I may have. So now there, you're just going to place a notch to indicate where your shoulder is, and that is all you need to do on that part. So now the next thing now is to move to the side. Sorry, so I'm moving to the side. That's the sleeve opening area. So here you measure around where your sleeve stops. So here I have around 9 inches, but remember you cannot use 9 inches because there's an elastic there as well to make it puffy. So now 9 inches, remember, if you are drafting normally, you're just going to put it on fold because this is just half of the hand. So now instead of putting it on fold, now I'll just use the 9 inches as it is, and then I'm going to use my elastic. So when you use it as it is, it means you have 18 inches for the full hand on fold. So now I'm just going to use my elastic to gather it back to the 9 inches. So here from the upper part here, I'm just going to mark 9 inches, and I can mark 10 inches because of allowance. Okay, so on this part again, I'm just going to come in by 1 inch so that I can differentiate my sleeve opening from the other parts of the bodies. I hope you can see this well. So from there now, I'll just come in by 1 inch and then connect it all the way down, and then I'm going to cut this off. Okay, so that is all I'm going to do. The next thing now is to go ahead and start to sew this. So to sew it, I'm just going to open it up like this. Okay, remember it's on fold. I'm going to open it up, and then I'll go to my sewing machine where you have your notch here for the shoulder. Okay, remember the shoulder stops here. All of this is for the shoulder. From this notch to this notch is for your shoulder. So now from here, I'll just go ahead and close the sleeve. So here, remember there's a notch, half an inch here. So this part here, I'll just sew it down like this to close my shoulder, to close my sleeve for both sides. And then on this side as well, this is the side where we came in by 1 inch, where our sleeve opening stops. So now from here, I'm just going to close the two sides as well before I place my band. So I've gone ahead to join the shoulder. You can see it starts from this notch, and then I join this side as well. It's quite big, as we can see. And then this is going to be my back, my shoulder point, the 14 inches that I cut. So now 14 inches for the front and 14 inches for the back on fold. So I have 28 inches here on front and 28 inches for the back, which is way bigger than what I need. So I need my elastic to join it back to gather it back to my actual size. So to do this, I'm working with 1 inch elastic. Okay, so this will be the width of my elastic. I'll go ahead and cut a band that can accommodate my elastic. So whatever band you're cutting, you make sure that it works with the size of the elastic that you're using. So I'm just using this as an example. So now if I'm using this band, now you can see that it can easily occupy. Okay, it has enough space to take the size of the elastic that I'm working with. So what you're going to do now is to measure around this neck area. You measure around this, and you're going to use that to cut a band. There is a notch here already, so it's going to make it easier for you to sew your band. So what you're going to do now is to go ahead and sew this band all around the neckline like this. Okay, you sew like this, and then you flip and cover it up and sew again. So when you're sewing, you make sure you leave like 1 inch space to pass the elastic. So we are going to do this for the neckline. We're going to do the same thing for the sleeve area here, and then we'll do the same thing for the hem of the dress. Remember, the hem is also in a big size. We need to gather it. So we are going to go ahead and do all of this and bring it back to show us what we have. Okay, so I have gone ahead to fix my band. You can see this is the hem line, this is the sleeve area, and then I did the same thing on the neckline. So to make it easier for you, just iron your band before you start to sew. And you can see that I left spaces here to insert my elastic. So now I'll start to fix the elastic to it. For the sleeve, remember my actual round sleeve is 9 inches, so I'll cut around 7 inches or 6 inches for firmness. Depending on how firm you want it to be, you can remove 2 to 3 inches from your actual measurement. Remember, this is 1 inch elastic and it's not as stretchy as the half inch, so you just adjust it according to the firmness that you want. So for the sleeve, for the round sleeve, I'm going to be working with 7 inches. And then for my neckline, okay, remember the measurements we are working with actually is 16 inches for front and 16 inches for back, which is 32 inches. So you can just go ahead and cut between 28 to 30 inches for both the front and back, or depending on how full you want it to be. So that's actually dependent on what you want. So you cut that and then you fix it around the band of your neckline. For the hemline, remember, if it's a dress, it's going to be on your knee area. So for you to be able to walk freely in it, you make sure that the elastic you are using is not so tight. So I'll go ahead and fix my elastics now and then bring it back to show us what we have. So I have fixed my elastic to the neckline. Okay, so again, you can use your round shoulder as your reference point for your measurement of your neckline. Remember, it's an off shoulder and it's going to be placed around the arm. So you can work with your round shoulder measurements, or you just increase your back neckline just like I did for mine, so that you have enough room to accommodate that space, because you don't want it too tight. And this is what the sleeve looks like. I have also gathered the sleeve back to its actual measurement, and this is the hem. So you can see the hem. So for my hem, I used an elastic of 32 inches length. Okay, you can use whatever is comfortable for you. So now I'll just take this to the mannequin now so that we can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is what our puffy balloon blouse is looking like. And see, mine is a blouse because of the length that I worked with. So you can just increase yours to any length you want, so that I can just have a mini dress. I can see our elastic on the hemline, the sleeve, and the neckline area. So you can style the neckline like an asymmetric, or you just make it an off shoulder, just like we have here. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.